Welcome back to Who's Sitting at Your Table. You're not lazy, you're hormonal. The truth about weight gain, fatigue, brain fog, and blood sugar level after 40. We're talking to Zayda, and she is with Radiance Wellness. Let me tell you a little bit about today's guest who's changing the way women experience healthcare. Zayda Yeoh is a women's health nurse practitioner with more than 13 years of experience helping women navigate some of the most confusing and frustrating seasons of our lives, including hormonal changes, weight struggles, blood sugar concerns, and overall wellness. So, what sets Zayda apart is that she doesn't believe in the cookie cutter medicine. She believes that every woman deserves to be heard, understood, and treated as a unique individual. Her approach centers around partnership, education, empowering women to make more informed decisions about their health. Rather than focusing solely on lab numbers or symptoms, Zayeda looks at the whole person, not only the person, but their mind, body, and spirit, and helping women create sustainable paths towards feeling healthier, stronger, and more vibrant. Welcome to the table, Zayeda.
Thank you so much for having me.
So glad to have you. I've known you for over a year now, right? It's been longer than a year. In fact, I've been a patient of yours and I am still a patient of yours.
Yes, you
So
are.
I just wanted to get caught up and, get people to know who you are. I know you live in the Bay Area and you're a mom and you're married. Tell us a little bit about you. You have kids?
I do. So I have a wonderful husband. This year is going to be our 25-year anniversary.
Oh,
I have a
congratulations.
thank you. I have a 19-year-old son who's away at
Oh,
college, just
oh,
finished his
nice.
first year. So proud
Same
of
with, same with me. My son just finished first year college too.
yeah, yeah. I'm
That's
just trying
great.
to manage that. We're empty nesters now. I am a proud dog mom. My dog
Good for
Sissy
you.
is
Me too.
15 years old. She's a little Maltese.
Oh,
And I have
15. That's a great,
15.
great
Yes,
number of years. Yeah.
she is our longest lived Maltese. She is number 4. So I think we're doing
Oh,
something right.
yeah. My mom has a
And
poodle mix, Maltese mix.
yeah, and I'm also a cat mom. So
Oh,
my kitty, his name is Lamar.
oh,
Um,
hello, Lamar.
yeah, and I love to cook. I love to garden. I love to go out on hikes and walks, and that's how I spend most of my time when I'm not in the
All healthy
office.
stuff. Very healthy stuff. Very good mind, body, spirit. I'm a big animal lover too. I love hiking outdoors. I just, now that I bought a new home, I'm now gardening as well, which is really fun, right?
Yeah.
It's like they're your babies too, right? You have to
Mhm.
take care of them and
Yeah.
raise them, right? So very good. Well, let's dive into the segment. We're talking about women's health. It's exciting times, and there are a lot of women probably listening that would like to know more. So let's kind of dive in it. So, what inspired you to specialize in women's health?
So I decided to specialize in women's health over, let's say, a family nurse practitioner who can see, from babies to geriatrics, or like a pediatric nurse practitioner, because I think that this field, this women's health arena, needs more women that understand what their patients are going through. It's not that male providers aren't good providers, but they're missing that empathy. Yeah, just knowing what a huge period cramp feels like for the teenagers, and why they can't go to school or do PE class, or what a hot flash feels like, or feeling like, what was I going to say? I think I'm losing my mind. That kind of feeling, right? Because we all get there. I'm 47 now. And I feel it. I personally, to give you a little bit more personal information, I went into premature ovarian failure when I was 30 years old.
Wow. Oh,
So I've been
wow.
in menopause for a long time. So I may look young, right? And I may
You
only
do
be
look really young. You don't
47,
look 47.
but I've been in menopause for a long time, and I
Wow.
can tell you what a real hot flash feels like. I can tell you the weight gain and that midsection that comes up even when you are still eating right, when you're still exercising, the ups and downs with anxiety and memory and things like that. But the good news is that you can address it and you
Yeah.
can feel better. You just need someone to guide you, right? You need someone that you trust, that's doing the research, that's keeping up with the new research, right? And that's why I really want it to be in this space.
I really appreciate you saying some of the things that you said and shared. First of all, and not to crack a little joke on it, but you're right. Men don't know what it feels like. I'm sure that if they could, they would want to, but a woman only knows what she's experiencing in her body, right? And so very receptive and very smart. So now, after 13 years of caring for women, what is the biggest misconception women have about their health?
I think the biggest misconception is that this is normal. Whatever you're going through, this is normal. There's nothing to do about it. But that's not true. While a lot of it is physiologic and there's a real reason behind it, it doesn't mean that you just let it go. There's plenty of things that if you find the right help, you can do. It can be something as simple as getting some good nutrition advice or new supplements that you can incorporate in your routine. It could be hormone therapy, right? Hormone therapy is not for everyone, and we're going to talk about that probably a little bit later. But that's, I think, the biggest misconception, that this is what it's like, and that's it. There's nothing to do about it.
We tough through that stuff,
Yeah.
and we just know it's coming. And, just like when we were pregnant too, and we have kids, for me in the beginning stages, I had my daughter all natural, and I was told that's the way you need to do it. It's the healthiest way to do it. Don't put any drugs in your body. It's going to impact your baby. And there's a lot of scariness about that. And so you just tough through it. Right.
Mhm.
And then when it comes to this stage in life, and you're like, well, it's just what it is. And I don't know my options. I just tough
Right.
through it. So that's true. That's very true. So now, what do you wish women understood about her body when she enters her 40s and her 50s? What should a woman understand about her body?
I think she should understand that, yeah, things are definitely changing. You're not just being more anxious because something's wrong with you mentally, or you're not more irritable because you're a bad person or because you had a bad day of work at work. Things are definitely changing, and just bringing that up to someone, even just your close friends, not making anything a mystery, right? Just talking with your friends and saying, I'm feeling X, Y, and Z. Is anyone else feeling the same way? And just getting that validation. I think as women, we need that validation that what we're going through is real, right? It's not just in our mind. And just because our mothers and grandmothers went through it and somehow survived doesn't mean that this is it. There's nothing else that we can do. There's nothing that we can change. We're going to live like this forever.
Yeah, that's really true. And thankfully, most women are very open to sharing things with each other. But you're right. Sometimes we just kind of deal with it ourselves. And that's a smart thing to do. Sharing is caring.
Yeah.
Share, ladies. Talk to your women friends, because I think men would probably freak out if you start sharing that stuff with them.
It's that social support, right? If
Yeah.
you surround yourself with a good social network, right?
Huh?
It makes everything just a little
Yeah,
bit easier having that
exactly.
support, like your sister, if you have a sister, or if your mother's still alive, right? Or just coworkers. They're all going through the same thing, or will eventually.
Exactly, exactly. Don't be afraid. Be open to talking about it. Many women suddenly gain weight. They're exhausted. They're experiencing brain fog. How much of that can be hormone related?
A lot of it, although not 100% to be truthful, right? Basically, we're talking about estrogen levels. So when estrogen levels start to drop, there is a shift in the body composition that happens, and we start accumulating a lot more of that visceral abdominal fat, right? Estrogen also disrupts leptin, which is a hormone that regulates appetite and satiety, right? Tells you, oh, I'm full, like I need to stop, right? So the weight gain that many women discuss or describe as a sudden, right, in menopause or perimenopause, it's a real shift in body composition, not just aging or lifestyle, right? It's a real decline in our hormones, and that has ramifications down the road. Estrogen, too, affects neurotransmitters. So when you disrupt the balance of neurotransmitters, it also disrupts sleep regulation, right? Our
Yes.
another hormone is cortisol. You've all heard of cortisol. It's a stress hormone, right? So it becomes less stable during our perimenopausal years. Yeah. So it becomes less stable during this transition that we're all going through in our 40s, right? And it just amplifies the stress response and worsening exhaustion.
Hmm.
If you throw on top of that night sweats and poor sleep and stress, I mean, you can only imagine how you're going to feel. You're going to feel pretty fatigued and you're not going to be able to think clearly the next day for work. You're already behind when you get up the next morning, right?
Gosh. Yeah,
So it's,
yeah.
this vicious cycle. So it is hormones, but I think it's also lifestyle, right?
Yeah.
We can't slow down. We have to make an effort to get out there, get outside, get some sunlight, do the bare minimum, which in my opinion is walking. Walking is free. You can do it with your dog. You can do it with your family. You can do it with your friends. You can control for speed, for distance, for time. You're really in control. And when you can't go outside, then you do something indoors, right? You do some weights that you get from Goodwill or something, or some used store like an exercise band to build resistance. So that also has a lot to do with it, right? Exercise releases endorphins. So when we're fighting that cortisol response and that brain fog and the lack of sleep, these are some of the things that we can also do outside of thinking just about our hormones to help ourselves.
Okay, yeah, that's true. And for me, I just put on my headset. I listen to a good podcast, preferably who's sitting at your table, or or music. I mean, music, that's one thing we talk about in this podcast. Mindset is everything. And we talk about how music can just change the mood and change the way you feel, and it'll get you fired up. And then you could do the resistance training or go for the walk or do a little bit of weights. It pumps you up, right? So
Exactly.
yeah.
Just like when I drive into work, sometimes I'll put on what I consider good music, right? And it gets me ready for the day. It gets me excited for the day. It brings me into the office with a better attitude, just ready to face whatever's coming my way.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so amazing. So now, what are the most common symptoms women dismiss as just getting older that actually deserves more attention?
I think for sure hot flashes. And not every woman's going to have hot flashes, right? But studies show that women that have more frequent or severe hot flashes are actually at higher risk for heart disease, stroke, and brain changes that are linked to cognitive decline and Alzheimer's risk. And that's because when estrogen starts declining, it makes the blood vessels stiffer and less flexible. So that it also worsens cholesterol profiles, which is the heart disease risk factor, right? And hot flashes have been tied to elevated inflammatory markers, specifically like a C-reactive protein for heart disease. So
Wow.
this is why it's so important when you go into your provider's office and you say, "Oh, I think I'm having hot flashes," that as providers, we take that serious. That it's not just, "Oh, your estrogen levels are declining." Okay, yeah, that's right. But we know that these women that are having the more severe and frequent hot flashes, they're much higher risk than your average bear who's not having these, right? No one is zero risk, but don't dismiss hot flashes.
Okay, thank you. Wow, that's something I didn't know. So thank you for sharing. Uh, how do hormones affect mood, anxiety, sleep, and confidence?
Ooh, that's a good one because they're all so intertwined, right? We talk a lot about estrogen, how it regulates our neurotransmitters, right? Dopamine, norepinephrine, serotonin. Those neurotransmitters stabilize mood. So if you're having fluctuating or decreasing estrogen levels, this is going to show up as irritability and low mood. So when your children drive you insane and they say you have a short temper, and you're in your 40s, you can say, "Oh, it's my estrogen level. It's not me. I'm actually a super nice person." Right? You
Yeah.
can you can blame it on something else, right?
Yeah, blame it on Esther.
Exactly, right? And then,
Yeah.
we talk a lot about estrogen, but progesterone actually starts changing and declining a lot faster, a lot earlier than estrogen levels, right? And progesterone has this calming effect on the brain. It helps us sleep, right? This is why in this perimenopausal transition, we see increased anxiety or worsening anxiety in women. Up to
Wow.
40% of women in their 40s will have increasing anxiety, and they
Wow.
don't know why, and it's progesterone. And because they can't sleep well because their progesterones are low,
Yeah.
right?
The
Then
calming nature is being, kicked by estrogen.
right. So then, you have this low progesterone level, you can't sleep, you may or may not be hot, and then you have to face the world the next day and just be a normal human, right? So
Good
I think this is
Lord.
a lot
Yes.
to ask. It's a lot
Yes. What
to
we
ask.
put up with.
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay. So at what point should women consider having her hormones evaluated?
So I think if you're starting to have symptoms like hot flashes or more irritability or even something like anxiety, where maybe you've always been kind of an anxious person, so you don't think it's that bad, but all of a sudden it's really affecting your quality of life, then I think you should have your hormones tested. Now, the tricky part is that if you go to a conventional provider, for the most part, they're going to tell you that you don't need testing of your hormones because it's fluctuating so much. So that's partly true, right? We just talked about how progesterone's fluctuating, estrogen's fluctuating. That part is true, but it doesn't mean that testing a baseline of your hormones is not important,
Huh.
especially if you're going to treat someone.
Yeah.
I want to know if I'm making a difference both subjectively, like, do you actually feel better? Tell me if you feel better. And objectively, right? I want to recheck lab work and make sure that the symptoms and the improvement makes sense with my numbers as well. So I think you need both, but it's very hard in conventional medicine to get a provider to test your
Oh,
hormones.
trust me. How do you think I ended up meeting you, Zayda? Right? Because my conventional doctor said, "Oh, it's just go read this book and go do this and do that," and they just didn't take it serious. So I
Yeah.
went somewhere else.
Yeah. I had a
So
provider once tell me, oh, these women, they all want their hormones checked. Don't they know these are the ravages of menopause? Look at what it's done to me. And I, in my head, was like, you ought to be ashamed of yourself
yeah,
that
shame.
you're not more proactive in treating yourself and wanting to know more about why this is happening to you and how to help yourself, and in turn help the women that rely on you.
Exactly. That's
So,
not.
and I think that conventional medicine is tough because we're confined to 15-minute visits.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, okay, hurry up, tell me your problems because someone else has more
Yeah.
problems in the next visit, right?
Yeah. They're just a number. Yeah.
It's a numbers game, right?
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
think that we're not providing the best care in those scenarios, and that's why we don't lend a very sympathetic ear to
Yeah.
women's
Uh,
concerns.
Yeah. And it's not woman supporting woman like.
Yeah.
So now let's talk about the myths around hormone replacement therapy and what you're hearing most often these days.
So I think there's been a resurgence in interest in menopause topics since the Women's Health Initiative results came out in 2002, and they stopped the hormone trials because they said everyone was getting breast cancer and heart disease and all that jazz. All providers shied away from hormone therapy. Women were discontinued off of their regimens, and then no one teaches you anything either in medical school or nurse practitioner school about menopause and hormones. So there was a very large gap in knowledge, and now it's like out in the open. And I think that people think that hormone therapy is for everyone, and not
Yeah.
everything is for everyone,
No,
right?
exactly. Like we talked earlier, not cookie cutter, right?
Right. So
Right.
I think that as I love hormones, I think most women are a good candidate for hormone therapy and can benefit. Everyone needs their individualized plan of care, but not everything is for everyone, right? You may come to me with some sort of symptom and I may say that, a little bit of estrogen is not going to fix that. I'm just being honest with you. You can try it for X, Y, and Z, but for this specific thing, it's not indicated, right? So not everything is for everyone again. So women tend to think that everything can be cured with hormone therapy, and not everything can.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
other thing that I think is a big misconception is because of the Women's Health Initiative, I still hear providers telling women, oh, yes, I'll start you on the patch and the pill, but just letting you know that it can increase your risk for breast cancer. And that is not true. And it just makes my hair go on fire. And I just want to injure someone, but I don't, because I'm well controlled on my hormones. But I want to. Mentally, I want to. And it's like, no, you can't tell women that. That's not true. All the new studies show that women on hormone therapy actually have a lower risk of breast cancer than women not on hormone therapy.
Is it just misinformation or why?
It is. It's misinformation, it's old studies, and it's providers that are not keeping up with the new studies that are coming out, all the follow-ups that are being done. It's big systems, big healthcare systems that have care plans for everyone, and the providers within that healthcare system don't make their own decisions. Everything is a care plan. So until the higher-ups determine that now you can say this or say that, they don't do their own research. They don't think for themselves, unfortunately, right?
It sounds like they have a box and they want to put everybody in that same box.
Yes, exactly, right? And I think they try to do it in the name of safety so that everyone is getting the same care, but it doesn't work. You have to let providers think for themselves, and providers need to be more responsible about keeping themselves up to date with the new literature and the new treatments that are out there, right? There's
Yeah,
more
that
than
makes
one way
sense.
to do things. Not every woman needs a patch, or not every woman needs a pellet or anything like that. I think another misconception that I would love to touch on is that once you start, you can't stop. And that's actually not true. This isn't the type of medication or supplementation that's addictive in any way or anything. So if someone starts hormone therapy and doesn't do well on it, or doesn't feel that it's helpful, or just feels like they've been on it for a long time and they want to discontinue, that's okay. Easy peasy. Nothing bad's going to happen, right? So you can try something and decide that it's not for you, and
Oh,
it's
good.
not going to cause any damage. And then the other misconception that I hear a lot is that someone is too old to start. I've taken care of patients that are 70, 75,
Wow.
and
Wow.
when they were going through their change in their 50s, that was the peak of the time when we weren't doing hormones because of the Women's Health Initiative study, right? And now they're hearing about the new studies and the benefits of hormone therapy, and they are turned away at conventional medicine. They tell them the biggest benefit is within 10 years of menopause, which is true, but it doesn't mean that you still can't benefit, right? You're just not going to benefit as much as if you would have started it when you were 45, 50, 55, right?
Again, they're staying within that box
And
of what they know and not
exactly.
being more open-minded and doing the research and doing a unique plan for an
Exactly. And I
individual.
think the providers have to be responsible and do that risk and benefit analysis for each person and say, these are the risks that you have, and these are the benefits that I think you're going to get from doing this. Which one is higher, right? Which one has more weight? And then in the end, the patient decides, right? If
Yeah.
the risk is worth the benefit they're hoping to get, then you let them try it. If it's something that's completely contraindicated, for example, if you have uncontrolled hypertension, I've turned away people like that. It's like, I cannot do hormones for you if your blood pressure is not under control with or without
Yeah.
medication.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
if they won't address their blood pressure, then I won't do hormone therapy.
Yeah.
And
That's
that's the right thing to do,
yeah,
right? That's the
exactly.
sound thing to do. But you owe it to people, to women, to run that analysis with them and try to help them understand their benefit and risk.
Yeah. That's great information. I'm sure a lot of women that are listening were probably learning something new like I am right now. So now let's kind of switch things up a little bit. Let's talk a little bit about blood sugar, A1C, and metabolism. I recently addressed my own hormone health plan while also working on my lowering my A1C. When I first visited you, I was nearly diabetic. I was pre-diabetic at 6.4, right? So that was pretty scary for me. And so how often do you see those addressing their hormones while also dealing with their A1C blood sugar level? How often do you see those two connected?
Very often. That's actually very common with hormone levels declining. 'Cause insulin is a hormone. I don't know if people know that, but insulin is a hormone. So we're not just talking estrogen, progesterone, testosterone. Insulin is a hormone too, right? So when we have estrogen declining, estrogen normally helps the cells respond better to insulin. So as our levels of estrogen decline, it starts leading to a little bit of insulin resistance in all women of that age. So the body needs to start making more insulin to get the glucose out of the blood and into the cells. So this starts pushing up that insulin resistance and starts making your hemoglobin A1C creep up. And that's what we often see. And this is regardless of dietary changes, because as you know, a lot of women, you probably know them, will say, I'm exercising as hard as I ever was. I'm eating the same thing. I don't go out. I am having my veg, I'm having my protein, and still I'm getting that fat in the midsection.
Mhm.
And that is and that's that redistribution of the fat that's happening with the insulin resistance and lower estrogen levels. So your hormone levels decline, you get that central fat gain, worsening insulin resistance, and that's even more fat gain. So then you're in this vicious loop.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. I'm having PTSD thinking about it.
This is
Just
why when a woman comes to me, and I also see men, right, because they have insulin resistance too, and they have declining hormone levels. But specifically to women, when women come and see me, I don't just draw an estrogen, progesterone, testosterone level, FSH level, right? I run multiple things. I run a fasting insulin. I run an A1C. I run a lipid profile. I run an apolipoprotein B, a lipoprotein little a, high sensitivity C-reactive protein. I run a whole slew of testing because it's more than just I have a hot flash or I'm gaining weight. That's metabolic, right? So I owe it to women and my patients to give them a more complete picture of their health as opposed to saying, you have a hot flash, let me check your estrogen level and then send you on your way with a
yeah.
patch.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So now what are from the diabetic sense, what are some of the warning signs women should be watching for before they become diabetic?
So I think they need to be watching for increasing sleepiness after meals, right? That means your body's working really hard to process that glucose, right? But there's a lot of overlap between insulin resistance and perimenopause. If you are having that fatigue, if you're getting super sleepy after a meal, if you're getting that weight gain around the midsection, these are all symptoms of prediabetes and perimenopause together. So that would be a great time to get your A1C tested, to get your fasting insulin tested, which is not a standard test. It should be. So
Okay.
I think
Yeah.
they need to know what their insulin resistance is like, because those are all symptoms of insulin resistance. When you just do a fasting glucose or an A1C, the pancreas have been compensating for a while for it to creep up. That's why you're
Yeah.
not a diabetic yet, right? Your pancreas are pumping out more insulin, but the cells just aren't very receptive to it, right? They're resistant. So once your A1C, by the time you get it checked and it's elevated, this has been an ongoing process, right? That we haven't been aware of. And feels like it creeps up on us. Like one day we're a size whatever, and then the next day, it feels like the next day the clothes just don't fit the same, right? But it's been this gradual process, but we've just been too busy to notice it.
Yeah. Yeah. So if a woman could only make one or two changes today to improve their metabolic health, what would you tell them to focus on first?
Nutrition, nutrition, nutrition. You have
That's the
to
number
be in,
one.
you have to be in control with what you're eating. I love to eat out, although lately everywhere I go, I'm very critical because I think I'm such a great cook. I'm like a chef in my own mind, right? I'm
Mhm.
delusional when it comes to my cooking. I'm the first to admit, right? So I'm always critical, but you can't, you have to be picky with what's going into your body, what's fueling your brain, your bones. Um, read your labels. There's high fructose corn syrup in everything, in your ketchup, in your, I can't pronounce this word, Worcestershire sauce. I can't.
For
That's like
sure.
the
Yeah. For
what
sure. Yeah.
I can't pronounce that name. There's there's hidden ingredients in all these, the seed oils, the high fructose corn syrup, um the excess sugar in snacks, the GMOs, all those things. You actually have control over what you put in your body. And you know what? Cook at home. You're probably a better cook than you give yourself credit for. And it's way cheaper because the economy is terrible and inflation's
Mhm.
through the roof. So you're actually doing yourself a favor by eating at home.
Yeah.
Meal prep, right? I
Yeah.
love bringing my lunch. I
Mhm.
just, I refuse to buy anything for lunch. I will make enough food for dinner and then I will make sure there's enough for the next day.
Yeah.
And I know
So then you have
exactly what
leftovers.
to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot
Yeah.
of leftovers, meal prep over the weekends. You have to make the time for that. You have to take control of your
Yeah.
nutrition because you can, right?
Yeah.
And then the other thing is weight bearing exercise. And I'm guilty of this too. And I'm trying to do better, right? But strength training is so important for your muscle mass, for your
Yeah.
bones, and it actually improves insulin sensitivity independent of other hormones, right?
Yeah.
Getting yourself that resistance band or the 5 pound weights and doing progressively higher resistance is what's going to improve a lot of the body composition and protect your bones. So nutrition and weight bearing exercise are something that I think are well within our control.
Yeah, I know it's very important as you get older to work with weights, and you don't have to like when you see the men with the big, the free weights, and there are these machines that help you with your posture when you're doing weights, right, at your gym. But or you could do it at home too, right, with the smaller, lighter weights.
Or something like planks. Planks are free.
But yeah, planks are
Yeah.
free.
If you can hold it for 5 seconds at first, good for you, and then progressively, you'll get stronger, right?
Yeah,
And
that's
that's
true.
something that you can do, like, in the morning before you leave for work, or just set a time, make it a priority. So and that's free. You don't have to
Yeah.
join the gym to
Yeah,
do
squats
any.
are free, and you could do push-ups. You could do it with knee because if it's hard for you to do it like a full push-up, you can use your knees, right, and then do the push-ups.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
so
just
those are
work
free.
up to things, right?
Yeah.
Everything is muscle memory. It's like breaking the habit of like going out to eat, right? You do it a little bit at a time. I have this one patient who loved DoorDash and Uber Eats, but mostly DoorDash, I think she said. And when she came to see me and I found out how much she was ordering, I said, "You're going to have to erase that app right now." That's number one thing. I said, "You cannot have that app, that temptation on your phone." And you know what she did? And she has done amazing.
Good.
But it
That's
was it
great.
was a small step, right? And now
Yeah,
she eats at home.
and she's probably
And
saving a lot of money too.
exactly, right? So you're welcome.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so advocating for yourself is kind of the next topic. Many women feel dismissed when they bring their concerns. We kind of talked about that a little bit to their healthcare providers when they bring their concerns. And what advice would you give the women who feel unheard? What should they do? Come see you?
You can come see me, but the gist of it is don't give up.
Yeah,
You have to advocate for yourself. This is the one thing that no one else can do for you, right? If someone is being dismissive, if some doctor, some nurse practitioner, some PA, it doesn't matter, right? Jerks are jerks, or nice people are nice people. It doesn't matter what their title is, right? This isn't unique to a specific profession. You have to just continue pushing, and you don't have to be aggressive. When people are like, well, why are you thinking that way? Why should I do this and not that? I welcome that challenge because it shows me that the patient is engaged in their care.
Mhm.
Right? It's a lot easier to work with someone who wants to know why you're doing stuff. Why are you recommending this versus that?
Mhm.
So if you feel dismissed, I think you can gently tell that provider, right? Or be tactful and say, I feel like you're not listening. I want to know why you're recommending this or why you're not recommending that. Could you give me a little bit of your rationale? I just want to understand. I
Mhm.
want to feel like I understand where my care is going.
Yeah. Just
And
don't
I
tell
think
me what to
that's
do. I
reasonable.
want to know why you're telling me these
Yeah,
things that
but
I
I
should be
think
doing.
that's reasonable. I don't think that makes you a Karen, a bad person. Nothing. It's just, why is it wrong to want to know why?
Mhm.
Why are
Exactly.
we doing this or why are we not doing this? Why am I not a good candidate for X, Y, or Z?
Yeah,
Right? A lot of
exactly.
women will say, I have a friend who's doing this and that and the other. I want to
Yeah.
do the same.
Yeah.
Well, you're not your friend, right? And maybe you can do some things that your friend is doing, but maybe not others because you're a different person and you have different risk factors. But I feel like if I explain it to you, then we can still work together. We can still be partners in your journey, but
Yeah.
your care plan is going to be individualized towards you and your needs.
Yeah.
So don't give up. Just if
Well,
someone's not listening, keep pushing. Find somebody else who's going to listen.
yeah, yeah. What kind of questions should women be asking their doctors that you find that they don't often ask their doctors, or things that maybe they're afraid to ask or they forget to ask? What are the questions they should be asking?
I think it's like we were talking about. I think it's about why a certain
The
therapy is
ask them.
recommended
Yeah.
for
Okay.
them or not recommended. So, for example, I saw this lady, 50 years old, having terrible hot flashes. And she said, she pulled out this bottle and she said, I told my primary care that I was having hot flashes and she gave me this. But when I read the side effects, I don't want to take it. So then I said, may I? And I grabbed the bottle and it was an antidepressant.
Oh, wow.
And I said,
Yikes.
and then of course, my goodness, I have to tell you, my hair was on fire. And I just, oh my God, I was just so angry, like literally angry, and that I had to like tone it down a bit because I didn't want the patient to think I was mad at her. It's
Hmm.
not her fault, right?
Hmm.
But I was like, I grabbed the bottle.
Frustrating. Yeah.
It's so frustrating. I grabbed the bottle and I said, oh, I said, this is an antidepressant. I said, are you depressed? And she goes, no, I'm just having hot flashes. I said, well, did she tell you about hormone therapy? Like a little patch of estrogen, some progesterone so you can sleep? And she's like, no, she just gave me this. And I said, no. I said, we're not using that. If you are depressed, go ahead and use it. But if you're having a hot flash, I'm going to fix that for you. And this is exactly what we're going to do. And I went through it with her, right? And I couldn't believe that that was the solution.
Oh, that's a good example that I'm sure a lot of women have dealt with. And of course you see a lot, and so it frustrates you.
It's incredible. And I mean, or women, right, will have this worsening anxiety in their 40s. We talked about that. That's low
Yeah.
progesterone levels.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why can't we use a bioidentical progesterone every night to help your brain relax and not feel
Yeah.
so anxious, right?
Yes.
Bioidentical means that your body doesn't recognize it as foreign, right?
Mhm.
Whatever
Mhm.
your ovaries are producing, they think it's the same thing, right? But many times women in their 40s will be prescribed an antidepressant because they have anxiety or depression-like symptoms. But in reality, it's just hormonal changes,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
So
Yeah.
I feel like in that patient's case, she just accepted the prescription. She probably didn't even realize what it was
She
until
didn't.
someone picked it up, right?
Yeah, yeah. That's awful. I gotta tell you, I've picked up medicine too, not understanding, and then later reading, I was like, "Wait a minute," and then questioning it later. And women, we tend to do that. We just Just
And we don't want to
listen.
be difficult, right?
Mhm.
We don't want to take up the provider's time and sit there and say, so what exactly did you prescribe me? Can you go over that? And what is it for? And how do I take it? You know, in nursing school, I remember I've been a nurse since 2002. So I've been a nurse
Okay.
for a long time, a registered nurse for a long time. Nursing teaches you that your job is education. When you go to the bedside to someone, you do the 5 rights before you administer a medication. You tell patients about the side effects, how to mitigate them, this and that and the other, right? That's what we're supposed to be doing. And that's also physicians, right? And physicians' assistants. I think our responsibility is to prescribe something if a prescription is needed, but also do the education
Yeah.
behind it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But we don't have the time in conventional medicine. You just don't. So it's not that providers are evil or they just don't care. They're just so constrained and
Yes.
beaten down by the
They're
system.
pushing through and you're another number and it's like next,
Yeah,
and they
exactly.
can't give you the time that you so deserve, you
And
know?
you deserve. I had another patient who was having recurrent UTIs, and I know we're not talking about vaginal health and stuff, but we are talking about hormones. And her primary care, I had given her vaginal estrogen. That's fantastic to help with recurrent UTIs. And her primary care told her that was probably contributing to it.
Oh my gosh.
When all the data in the world shows the complete opposite.
Oh
And this woman
gosh.
came back to me and she goes, I stopped. And I was furious, not at the patient because she didn't
Yeah.
know any better, right? She's getting
Uh-huh.
conflicting information. But at that provider who would dare to say something like that. So as a patient, I think we talked about advocating for ourselves, but kind of asking those questions like, why? How is this prescription going to help me? Or
Yeah.
what are the side effects? Is this the only alternative or do I have a choice on something else?
Mhm.
So I think that it kind of all ties in.
Yep. Be more open to talking about it, discussing it, finding out. Don't just accept what they gave you. Just, ask a lot of questions about it. Don't be afraid to. So we need to, like you said, advocate for ourselves, step up and discuss it. Because a lot of times what we end up doing is going home and they're like, oh God, I wish I would have said this. Or gosh, I wish I, or maybe write them down on something before you walk
Yes,
into the room, to
yes,
remind yourself of questions you need to ask
yes. And I always tell women that, and any patient, write down your questions while you're at
ahead of
home,
time.
ahead of time, because time flies in a 15-minute visit,
Hmm.
right? And you're going to forget to ask,
Yep,
right? And then you're
exactly.
going to have to call or message, and don't worry about sounding or looking difficult.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
it's your right to have
Yeah.
that information.
Well, let's switch to how do we work with Zayda, right? Let's talk about that. What type of woman typically seeks your help?
I think the type of woman that I see here are a lot of women that have been dismissed, that have been told they're not candidates for X, Y, or Z, but not exactly why, right? Women that we're doing a lot of perimenopause care. This generation of women is more educated. Social media is huge for better or worse. There's a lot of misinformation on social media, but there's also some grains of truth, right? These women are consuming these social media posts and reels and videos, and they want to know, is this right for me? So then they'll come and they'll ask because they want a real human that they can have a relationship with,
Yeah.
right? Not
Yep.
some influencer on the screen. Tell them, is this okay for me? Will I get any benefit from it? Is there going to be any harm, right? Which are all rational and intelligent questions to ask. So these are women that are being very proactive and women that are thinking a little bit outside the box. They want to improve their quality of life. They're focused more on quality of life. They're focused on longevity, but getting there in one piece.
Yeah, of
Right. It's like
course.
I don't wanna live to 90 and just be broken, right?
Yeah.
I only wanna live long enough where I'm still, like, able-bodied, independent, and in good health, right? So, I would say it's very proactive women that are coming to me, very open-minded women, and also the women that have been dismissed and just want to know why. And maybe they were turned away from, let's say, hormone therapy, since we're talking about that. And maybe I will say the same thing, but at least I will spend the time with them and explain why something is not okay for them. And
Make
I
sure they're
will,
comfortable with the
yes,
answers. Yeah.
and I will give them alternatives. I won't just shut them down. There's always something you can do for someone. It can be as simple as recommending some great supplements, recommending some wonderful nutrition plan, going over their dietary habits, going over their social situations, right? It's
Yep.
part counseling here, right?
Yeah.
The things that I hear, right? I
Yes.
tell you, all of my patients, I know something, I know stuff about their health, but I also know about their husbands, about their wives. I know about their kids. I know about their pets. I know so much. We really do develop a good relationship. And I
Yeah.
think that's the type of woman that's coming to me. They want
Yes.
a real person to
Yeah.
talk to.
Yeah, I was going to say, what makes your approach different than the traditional healthcare experience for many women that you have worked with? And you pretty much covered some of that. What makes you unique? What makes you different? So now I've got a couple of other questions here. Like, what are something that happened to women in their 40s and 50s that they think are normal, but actually isn't normal? Maybe you're going to be able to tell us something we might be missing, you
Yeah.
know?
So I think lower libido is
Ah,
happening, and we're just tired, but we don't know why, right? When you're not having intimacy with your partner, that erodes a relationship, right?
yeah,
And that's important because that's part of your social network, right? So lower libido is something that you shouldn't ignore, right? Things along those lines of like vaginal dryness, recurring UTIs. All of a sudden, you never had a UTI before, and now you've had three in the last 3 months, and you haven't changed anything. That's your body telling you that your vaginal area is low on estrogen. And you
hmm
don't need systemic hormone therapy for that. You just need vaginal estrogen, right?
yeah,
So things like that, right? Those
okay,
are things that we tend to just say, well, I've been married 25 years, 30 years. Of course, my libido. Then yes, things aren't as exciting as they used to be, but those are definite signs of hormonal changes, metabolic changes in your body, right? And I don't think you should ignore those.
yeah. That's very smart advice and very honest. And I think a lot of women are probably sitting here going, ah, yeah, that's me. Right.
Yeah.
So,
With that,
are,
I don't feel like doing anything.
yeah,
That
yeah,
that kind of, you overthink things. It's like, "Oh, is that really worth it? Or do I really wanna get up?" You don't have that zest anymore to go out and do things, right?
yeah,
We're
yeah,
women, we do things. We don't just
yeah,
sit around. We're
yeah.
multitaskers,
Yes, we are.
right? We pride ourselves in being able to be an octopus and do 10 things at the same time, and then we complain about it, right?
Yeah,
Because no
yeah,
one
we
else
do.
is helping,
Yeah. Like, look at all
right?
the stuff I've got to do.
Exactly. And then you're like, "That's right, I did that." So I think that when you feel overwhelmed like that, that's a sign,
Mm,
right? And you're right, we're all gonna slow down at some point. But when you don't get that same joy from things that used to bring you joy, there's something going
yeah,
on there, and you need
yeah.
to explore that.
Yes. So now for women listening today who may be feeling frustrated, overwhelmed, or stuck, what does that first step of working with you look like?
Call me.
The first
You
step.
can call our office. We do like a quick 10-minute, appointment. It's free. You just tell me a little bit about yourself, and I can get a good sense of whether we're a good fit or not. If I have something to offer you, if maybe you're too complex for this kind of outpatient kind of wellness center. You can call. You can always send us a message on our Instagram or on our TikTok page. You can go on our website. So there's a lot of ways that you can communicate with us to express interest in working with us. And we'll always reach out to you and just, get a sense of what is it that you're looking for and see if we're a good fit.
Yeah, and talking out to the audience. I mean, if you're listening today and you feel like, gosh, that sounds like me, or I'm very curious, I want to connect, it's very simple to get a hold of her. You're very responsive. You and your team are very responsive. And I think that at the end of this podcast, I'll make sure to gather all your information, your website, and contact information. So at the end of the podcast, they'll be able to have the access to that. And whenever we post any of your information on social media, I'll make sure they have a way to contact you and reach you via Instagram or whatever social media platform that you operate from. We'll make sure that people can connect with you that way. So now, in closing, we do this all the time on the podcast. Who's sitting at your table? And so if you could choose to have somebody sitting across, it doesn't necessarily have to be a woman, but let's say it's a woman. If you could sit across from every woman listening today and tell her one thing about her health, her body, and her future, what would you want her to hear?
That's a good question. Um, Sitting across from a woman, what would I want her to hear from me? I would want her to hear that she's worth it,
Yes, I love that.
that you are so worth it,
Queen, you are worth it.
and you have to invest in yourself. It's the best investment, hands down, that you'll make. And I'm not talking money
Yep.
specifically.
It's called
I am
self-love. Self-love.
it's called self-love. It's taking a good hard look at where you are in life right now and saying, am I happy with what I have going? Am I happy with my health? Am I happy with my routine? Am I happy in my relationship? How is my relationship with the people closest to me? With my children, with my spouse, with my parents? How can I make the most out of every day? And I think that's a return for you. That's an investment in you in the long run. So it sounds maybe a little selfish, but that's okay.
It's
It
not, and I
will
don't, a lot of people say that, Zayda, but I don't think it should be looked that way. I mean,
exactly.
if you're putting into yourself and making yourself a priority, you become the best version of yourself. And then that love carries on to the people that you love, and you could be the best version of yourself for them.
Everyone else benefits downstream from
Mhm.
that,
Yes,
right?
yes,
But
that's right.
many times we're made to feel selfish, right? When we try to prioritize ourselves. But everyone benefits. Everyone in our lives benefit. Our children, our family, our employers, right? You're in a better mood when you come into work. You're more productive, right? It's as simple as that. So you are completely worth it. Take a good look at what you're working with right now and make the changes that you need to make. And if something's working, don't change it.
Yeah,
If it ain't
yeah,
broken, don't fix it,
yeah,
right?
exactly. But
So,
take care of your shrine, your temple,
mhm.
right? Be good to yourself. Self-love is first love, right? So, okay, so now you're still sitting at the table, right? What woman has had the biggest impact in your life? And what is the one lesson that she taught you that you still carry with you today?
That has to be my mother.
Oh,
My
yeah.
mother is a fantastic human being. She is the most selfless person I have met in my life,
Oh,
to a detriment,
oh,
right, to herself.
beautiful.
But she's the hardest working woman I've ever met. When my father passed away when I was about to turn 2, she was
Wow.
with 3 girls,
Wow.
age 25, and
That's young.
that is young. And she managed to work. She still works. She's 72. She works full time and sometimes works over.
Wow.
And
Well, that's
she
where the hard work comes from.
exactly, right? So she taught me resilience. Resilience, doing what you need to do to make things happen for yourself, and that nothing worth having in life is ever
Yeah.
easy,
No, it
right?
isn't. You fight
You
for
have
it.
you have to fight for it. You have to be hungry for it. You need to advocate for yourself. You need to put yourself first so that you can help others.
Yeah.
And that's what she's taught
That's
me.
beautiful.
I
I
owe
love
it
it.
to her. for that.
I love
And
it.
I'm
So
telling
now
you,
you said 3 girls. Are you which number are you on the
I'm number
3 girls?
3.
Are you? You're the baby.
I am the baby. Yeah,
Yeah.
I have a sister who's 51, a sister who's turning 50 this month, and then me. And then I
Oh,
have a younger brother, he's 35. She did eventually remarry 12 years after my dad passed away, and she had our brother. And yeah,
oh,
that's my family.
wow. Wow, that's amazing. Love it. So now before we let you go, and I know we talked about how the listeners can get a hold of you, I want you to just tell them the name of your company, just do a shout out and let people know how they can connect with you. Obviously website and all that, but what's the name of your company?
So our clinic's name is Radiance Wellness and Aesthetics, and we are located in Pleasanton, California. I am also licensed in Nevada, and I am looking to start expanding there mostly for telehealth and just to help more women. So we do a lot of consults in person here in Pleasanton, but we also have the capability, as you know, to do virtual
Virtual.
care.
And that's where I used to live in the Bay Area, everybody, and so I would see you in person. But then now I've moved further away, closer to SAC, and so you and I do virtual meetings, and I still work with you, and all of my medication and supplements or whatnot that I could get from you would be shipped to me. So, and
Yes.
it's actually pretty quick.
Yep.
So, and it's definitely affordable and worth it for sure. So, well, as I wrap this up, ladies, if any of this resonated with you, which I'm gonna bet a lot of it has. I would love for you to like, share, and follow. Send this information to another woman that you love and care about. Maybe it resonates with them. Follow us on Who's Sitting at Your Table. We are on many platforms of the podcast: Spotify, YouTube, Apple, and Amazon. So we have 4 platforms, and then we're on all the social media. That's Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and X. So you can find us, follow our shorts, connect with us that way. I will be posting Zayda's podcast in a few weeks. And so that way you can watch the whole episode. I will post that in our shorts, and I will also tag your accounts, Zayda, so people that are following you will be able to see it and see this story. And I really appreciate your loving message. What you do for women is remarkable. And you've saved me. You also are saving my sister, who's also working with you. So thank you so much. You're a beautiful queen. So thank you for sharing.
Thank you for having me. This has been a lot of fun. And like you said, I hope that if this touches one person's life, then it's totally worth it. And thank you. Thank you for
Thank you for
having me.
sitting at the table. We appreciate it. Bye, everybody.